this is probably good for even agents to know. So agents don't pay to be in the magazine.
Yes.
So how can they be in the magazine, or what do they need to do to get into the magazine?
Yeah. So the easy answer is,
first of all, definitely appreciate you coming in last minute too.
Yeah. So no, I love it.
Love that. So first of all, just kind of tell me about just who you are. It was obviously you run Seattle Real Producers, the magazine, and just what that is, just to give people that don't know what it is, a kind of concise overall, this is what it is.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. So I'm Shay Robinson. I'm the publisher and owner of Seattle Real Producers, and our platform is meant to engage, feature, distribute to the top 500 agents in King and Snohomish County. And our whole model is built around building quality relationships amongst the top producing agents in this area. So we run a monthly publication that goes directly to the top 500. We run different types of events, whether that be large networking events and some happy hour kind of magazine releases. But all the content is about the agents that are doing the bulk of the business in this area. And then we partner with businesses that want to build relationships with that group, who aren't so much transactional and just looking for the next opportunity to just do one deal. The people we partner with, and I think the agents appreciate this, is that building relationships in real estate is probably the most important thing you can do. And that really is what our platform is aiming to accomplish.
So we'll get back into Seattle Real Producers here in a second, the magazine. But I have to ask, this song's been in my head by Daphne called Truth or Dare. I've been listening to it nonstop. What music, first of all, are you into?
Man, that's a loaded question. I'm one of those people. This is not like, a sexy answer, but I'm kind of all over the place. I grew up on first listening to stuff like, old school because of my dad, like Paul Simon and Bob Dylan and Al Green. And I think that still is nostalgic, and I have a piece of that. I think then hip hop and R&B, bleed in there. And I think there's some good 90s, 2000s stuff that we could all get down to. And my wife, since we have been together for 15 years now, brainwashed me so that I like country.
Oh, man.
Which, I think it depends. I'm not really into like the twangy country, but, Zach Brown and Florida Georgia Line and stuff like that. I think those concerts are a lot of fun, and it's good listening. And then I think there's also, some rock reggae and stuff like that. So it's definitely a huge range of people and different type of artists and genres. But I'm probably easy to please when it comes to music.
How about this? What were you bumping as you drove in here?
Sadly, I am always listening to podcasts in the car now. And it's so funny because anytime I hear my wife roll up, she always has the music cranked and she's singing along to it. And we're such habitual creatures of habit that, like, I would say 95% of the time I have a podcast on when I'm in the car.
What's that other 10%?
If I'm going to put something on, you'll probably kill me for this, but like I use YouTube music as my music. And so my God. I will like pick a song and like let it determine the playlist. But the problem is when you have kids, they'll pick the songs. And so it's like I have just as much a big a part in the music that plays when we're in the car that they do, because my 11-year-old will pick a song and that determines our playlist. But if I was to think of like the last thing I played, so a band that a lot of people might not know is Iration. And there are some guys from Hawaii. And I recently got to go backstage at their concert at Showbox because a good friend of mine knows the lead singer. They play with people like Slightly Stupid, Revolution. And so, of course, like when you go to see a concert, then for the couple weeks after, that's what you're listening to. But it's such a wide range, I would say.
Well, what's a popular song by Iration?
Like Falling is
how does it go?
I'm not. You're not gonna get me to sing on here, man. I would have warmed up the vocal cords. They have a new album out. There's a song called IRL. There's some other songs. It's a brand new album, but I would say in the car that like Zac Brown is probably something that I would like listen to and sing along to the most. But again, it's such a wide range that I definitely need, and it's like, obviously I didn't know you're going to ask this question, but yeah, we are so all over the map as like a household with what my kids listen to. And then you're always trying to like get your kids to listen to stuff that you like. And anytime I try and put something new on, it's like, no, I don't like that. And it's like, we're listening to the same 20 songs over and over and over. So
I just think everybody uses Spotify. I don't know why. It's the second person that's now listening to music totally different than I would have thought.
I have gotten ridiculed multiple times for not being on like Spotify. I definitely used to be a Pandora person. So Zach, I can empathize with you. It is YouTube music. And so there are no ads, but it's obviously not as, it's lacking in variety. And, I know that we are missing the boat on any new music coming out, because when it determines your playlist off of stuff that you're picking and listening to. And it's rare that like, I'll plug a new song in and then it'll be like, then you're hearing a song that you've never heard. And it's that whole like, do I want to continue listening to this because it's uncomfortable and new? Or do I want to go into something that I've listened to before? But we went to Ed Sheeran, at Lumen, which was an incredible concert a couple months ago. We saw Zac Brown at Climate Pledge. We saw Dave at Climate Pledge. So
your first name basis?
Yeah, I've met Dave I used to be a Dave head. Like I've seen him live 33 times. I had all his albums. I had live albums. I had bootleg albums. I think I've definitely let go of a big part of that. But I think I've met him. He lives in the area where I grew up and went to grade school. Wow. And so when my siblings went to that same grade school, he would just be out on his porch just playing the guitar. And then he would come to the school festival. And then he played a show for like anybody that showed up at Pike Place when I was in college. And I went to Seattle U, and our school caught wind of it before anybody else. So we were like 10 feet away from him when he was playing a show. And I saw him solo at Benaroya Hall. I saw him at Red Rocks in Colorado. So yeah, we're on first name basis.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You learn a lot about someone that's hearing about what music they listen to.
It's a good point. It's a really good question.
So going back to the Seattle Real Producers magazine.
Yeah.
Just very briefly, how'd you get into it in a shorter context? How did you, first of all, find yourself getting into it?
Yeah. So we're all franchises. My wife runs our neighborhood publications. She was trying to get me in the company, and I was kind of like, no, it's your own thing. And then when Seattle Real Producers came along and somebody else was running it, I got involved on the content side, and it was definitely exciting because I saw the potential of just being able to connect people and be in the middle of, between the agents and the businesses, highlighting people that had earned the right to receive and be featured in the publication. And so once I took it over, which was July of 19 was the first issue that I was involved in, I had no idea what I was getting into other than I knew our company, like our umbrella company, N2 Co. But I really didn't, it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And so I knew kind of the, really like the template, but I had no idea the work it was going to take, how the meetings would go, what agent engagement would be like. But once I got involved, it was definitely a rebranding of we had to really change agents' minds on what they were going to see in the publication, what the events were going to be like. And about the time I felt like I had made traction, then COVID hit. And I think for a lot of us, we kind of had to pivot. We had to go to Zoom. We had to run virtual events. But now obviously we're out of that. And, but I would say the original pull was from my wife, but I really wanted the neighborhood publications to be her thing. My mom is an agent. I had my license. It just so happened to be in 2007, right before the market crashed. got into lending. And so I had, I have basic knowledge of real estate, and was always looking for something I could kind of get into on that sphere without being a typical agent. And the opportunity arose to be part of Seattle Real Producers, and took it over and haven't looked back.
What would you say now? You've obviously developed a successful franchise here, building out the Seattle Real Producers magazine. What would you say that your superpower is? What gives you the it factor for making this all happen?
I think there's a lot of ego amongst the top producing agents, or let me rephrase that. I went going into it, I thought I was going to be full of like huge egos. And there is, these are highly successful people and hardworking. So, the difference between being egotistical and being confident, can be a fine line in some people's eyes. But I think I go into this, whether it's a meeting with a partner, a potential partner, or an agent, kind of viewing them all on the same lens. But what I really have realized after now having done this for 4 years is I have this vehicle of connecting people, and whether that be agent to agent with our content or doing introductions, whether that be partner to agent, the ability to bring people together to collaborate. And I really think that real producers gives you this opportunity to really be a connector and do it with a smile on my face, right?
This occupation brought that out of you.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think if you ask my wife, she doesn't comprehend how I can like stay caught up with so many friends from, 20 years ago to 10 years ago to somebody I met, 2 weeks ago. So I always think there's a little bit of part of me that like loves the being able to connect with people in general. But I think that got accelerated once I started to learn more about real producers and what it could be. And the opportunity that I have to connect people really ends up being, I think in any job, we have something that really drives us. And for me, I think it's the ability to connect people in the real estate industry.
What's like the exciting thing? It seems like, yes, this connecting personality that you have is obviously a big part of you that's probably been in development for a long time. Who knows when it really started?
Yeah.
But what really gets you excited about it? Like, why are you so excited about connecting people?
I think because when it comes to real estate in general, relationships are like at the top, right? It's like, yes, transactions are important, and volume and staging and photography and, whatever other vendor you could possibly name that has to do with real estate. But I think that relationship element is really the driving force behind real estate in general. And so for me, a motivation or a successful feeling of like, when something unfolds and you just are completely happy after that. I think for me, the ability to see a partner connect with an agent and know that doesn't mean that, that relationship is born overnight. But then when you end up eventually seeing that relationship take hold and knowing that you were the driving force behind that, I think it shows you the possibilities and the opportunities that you can help people when they're trying to grow their business. And I know for us, like we're a franchise that hits King and Snohomish County, and a lot of the vendors that are partners, these aren't national brands or, offices that have 150 workers in them. These are like hardworking, passionate, small business owners. And when you see something in somebody that you're like, I really think they would connect with that agent well, because they have kind of the same, personality or the same interests, or they've both said things that are very similar. If I can be the reason that those two connected, then it's like that for me, that's a successful day. And I can't wait to get it back up and do it again.
Let's hear a story. What's been one of in your mind, an awesome moment that you've had that you connected people and you see it flourishing still to this day?
So trying to pinpoint that, because there are multiple scenarios. I think an easy one would be, we have a partner that a lot of people don't know about, which is Roof Max. and they can add kind of years to the life of a roof, by spraying their product on it. And a lot of people aren't aware about it, but in real estate, that can save a deal. And so I remember it's probably 3 years ago at this point, doing an introduction to an agent and Stephen Mertens, who runs the RoofMax franchise. And then the agent coming back and telling me, like, she's like, I have told like 25 people about RoofMax. And the funny thing is, like, that's, Steven, the RoofMax guy, probably has no idea why these agents are reaching out or where, that business is coming from. But knowing that I have an advocate in the agent, actually was Karish McCurry, who's in the Windermere Yarrow Bay office, and knowing that she's out there being a cheerleader for a partner that, was newer in the market, but could significantly help a real estate transaction if the roof pops on an inspection. And, then the seller and the buyer are trying to negotiate, like, who's going to pay for a new roof, or are there any other options? And RoofMax coming in and saving the day and going, we can add a 5-year warranty onto this roof by spraying it. And now everybody has peace of mind, and now the deal goes through. To me, that's a success story of what Real Producers is capable of making happen.
Yeah, that's good. And obviously, as you know, I'm a part of Real Producers. I've absolutely loved it. Love being a part of the crew, the team, getting to meet agents. Obviously, we work with a lot of agents, so that's been super awesome. How much of the business are real estate agents for the magazine? Yeah,
so I think that the way we're different, and a lot of people, who aren't involved in Real Producers probably aren't aware, but we're not a pay-to-play model. So agents can't pay to be on the cover. They can't pay to have an article on the interior. They can't even pay to get a subscription, because we want to make sure that it's always getting in the hands of the agents who have earned the right to receive it. And we're featuring the agents that can support that feature with not only their volume and their production, but also being nominated by another agent. So I would say agents are the life force of the magazine, because the content is about them, and anybody we have partnered with in the past or is currently a partner, they are recommended by another top producing agent. So while I don't directly make any money off of agents, they are the lifeblood of the reason we have, we get to do what we do is we're highlighting the best agents in this market. And, some of the best stories I have are just having conversations like this with an agent. And they're like, I was thinking I need to connect you with this person. And then they're getting that vendor excited about what we're doing. And then they end up partnering. And then the agent was the reason why that person partnered. And now that partner's business is growing because they're involved in our platform. So directly, there's no financial incentives, but indirectly, they're the whole reason we have a platform at all.
Now, I want to get that straight. And I think this is probably good for even agents to know. So agents don't pay to be in the magazine.
Yes.
So how can they be in the magazine, or what do they need to do to get into the magazine?
Yeah. So the easy answer is do a good amount of business, right? So we feature and distribute to the top 500 agents in King and Snohomish County. Every 12 months, we'll pull the last 12 months production, and that determines our distribution list for the next 12 months. Now, there are some kind of one-offs within there, like a rising star is somebody that was nominated by a top agent. They're 5 years or under in their career. Pretty hard to crack that list that early on in your career. Doesn't mean people can't do it. I've had agents I've featured as rising stars in the past. I think one that comes to mind is Chris Dalto and even Melissa Waller, where, I interviewed them and featured them in year like 2 or 3 of their career. And now fast forward, 1 or 2 years later, and they've earned their way on to being part of the actual distribution list. So if, the easy answer is it's the amount of volume you do, because that determines our distribution list, but it's also agents nominating their peers, like, oh, I know they might not be on your list, but you should really connect with their agent, with this agent. They're in year 3 of their career. They did 20 million in volume last year, which is a really good year. If you're in year 3, it just doesn't happen to, if we're looking at the black and white version of our model, doesn't make the cut for the top 500. But somebody that is doing that kind of business that early in their career, I think is worthy of being highlighted. And in our magazine, that'd be a rising star.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. So it sounds like it's a pretty prestigious move to get into the magazine. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you do the deep dive on the numbers, and obviously in this market we're in right now, I think, I met with a lender last week who told me that every minute and a half of the workday that another agent is dropping out of real estate, right? So it is weeding out a lot of the agents who just aren't capable of really running a successful business. But even if you look at King and Snohomish County and, the 14 to 15,000 agents that hang their license, top 500 is really a small subset of agents, but they're typically doing around 70 to 75% of the volume. And if you really look at the numbers, year to date this year, the top 500 agents have done over $15 billion in volume. And so even though 500 is not a huge amount of agents, the amount of business they do is exceptional.
What would you tell vendors that you end up partnering with, whether that's mortgage, photography, videography? What would you tell those partners with you that the best strategy would be to connect with these agents that you're interviewing or that are on the front page, on the cover, or that we end up doing, a shoot with or anything like that? What would you say would be the best strategy for us vendors that are partnered with you?
So when it comes to Seattle Real Producers as a platform, you want to be engaged, right? And so we are not a model of like, you're going to partner, put an ad in the magazine and sit back and you're going to get a bunch of phone calls. These agents are solidified in the market. They have relationships that they already are currently using, but they're always looking to better the way they run their business, the way they're interacting with clients. So to me, it's being proactive, and that's seeing that an agent's featured and reaching out to them and saying, man, I loved reading about you and learning your story. I had no idea that you A, B, C, D, right? Where it shows that you're paying attention and you're being proactive about it. When you come to an event, whether that be a large networking event like the one we have coming up, or that's a smaller mastermind, or that's a more intimate kind of happy hour event, having conversations with them, and we talked about this off camera, that have nothing to do with real estate. The people that go up and are salesy and needy and desperate, like good agents can smell that a mile away. So just getting to know them and connecting with them on a personal level. We all know that anytime you build a relationship, it rarely happens from just one transaction. It happens from meeting people a few different times, seeing them out and about in the real estate market, getting to sit down over coffee and have a conversation where you get to know each other a little bit. To me, though, that's how actual relationships are born. And so the short answer is being engaged, right? Showing up to events, being proactive when people are being featured, showing some love to agents when they're featured, but being present in the real estate market. Aside of the events that we run, there's always events that you can be going to, and you want to be, it might sound like a corny cliche, but in whether it be marketing or real estate in general, we kind of fall back on, if you're not consistent, you're non-existent, right? So if you're not steadily in front of them, whether that be on social media, whether that be meeting them face to face at an event, whether that be reaching out and, almost patting their back. Like, I saw your most recent listing. It looks beautiful. There's so many opportunities to connect and collaborate with agents in this market. And that could be, an open house and just going to meet them and praising them for their listing. That could be going to a Seattle King County Realtors event. There are nonprofit events that they run, but it's just showing them that, one, yes, you want to stay in front of them because you want to stay top of mind, but it's also showing them that you care about more than just their business, right? So if they are, a lot of people on their birthday will do fundraisers now, and it's like, support that fundraiser, send them a message. If you reach out to somebody, you're not asking anything, or like any way you can provide value that doesn't mean that they need to pay you. Like, you want to try and do things that are outside of the box, but are consistent, so that you're consistently getting in front of these agents. Because the way our model is set up, you're not looking for 500 brand new relationships. Like, one, that's not really achievable unless you are, have a team of 35 people on your team and their whole job is to get in front of agents. You are looking for quality over quantity. And so the whole reason that we have gone from one Real Producers that started in Indianapolis to now we're in print in 140 different markets across the country in a little under 9 years is because we are always going to be getting you in front of the best agents in any given market. And every 12 months, there's going to be anywhere from 25 to 35% turnover. And so there are going to be some new eyes that are going to be seeing you, but there's also going to be the eyes that you've been consistently in front of month in and month out for a year, 2 years. And sometimes there might be an agent that you've been trying to meet, and in year 2, you finally get to meet him, and then you totally hit it off. And it's like, are you going to regret that you didn't get to meet him for 2 years prior? It's like, no, we can't look back and have any regret. We just have to be excited about the opportunity that we finally got to meet him. You got to do a deal for him, or a photo shoot, or a transaction, or whatever that looks like. And now a beautiful relationship could blossom out of that.
Well, and so from what I hear, I want to hear about the event that you have coming up.
Yeah.
So I believe there's one coming up November 16th?
15th.
November 15th. Yeah. So what is the event that's happening on November 15th?
So we have partnered with Seabrook. And so for the people that aren't aware what Seabrook is, it is a beautiful resort community town down on the coast in Washington. It's about 15, 20 minutes from Ocean Shores, but they're our title sponsor. And we're kind of educating agents about what Seabrook is. They are expanding, and they just got slotted to build, almost double in size. I think they have the ability to build 600 to 1,000 more homes, and they have incredible expansion coming up. So I would say we're highlighting Seabrook, but it's also going to be great networking. It's going to be at the W in Bellevue, which is a beautiful spot. And there's going to be drinks and food and photography and videography. And it's going to be, successful quality agents in the room and all of the Seattle Real Producer partners. And we're really just there to have a good time and learn about Seabrook and what they have to offer, and collaborate with the best in the business.
So getting down to the deep level of it, why should an agent show up to this?
So I think anytime an agent is thinking about, are they going to spend time at a networking event, right? Like, there's so many things out there. You can't go to all of them. And when it comes to the Seattle Real Producers events, the feedback that I've gotten from agents is they love them. And the reason they continue to show up is because they know it's going to be full of other successful agents, and collaborating and networking with like-minded individuals. If I'm going to get value from attending a networking event, who are the people that are going to be there that are going to bring value? And for Seattle Real Producers events, it's people that are on your level. These are not events filled with agents that have had their license for 9 months and they're there for the free drinks and food. These are agents that are successful. They have teams. They have started their own brokerage. They are consistently doing business. And for some of them, a lot of that interaction with really good agents is just over the phone on email. And so when they actually get to go to an event, it's like, oh, I haven't gotten to see you in 6 months. We've talked on the phone 30 times in the last 6 months, but we haven't gotten to interact face to face. And so getting to see people that you respect in the business, that because everybody is so busy, you don't get to see as often, getting to interact with partners and making you realize, like, oh, you know what? Like, I don't have somebody in that spot on my vendors list, and I met him at this event. And now, I need, I need a handyman next week, or like, I didn't even know about Roof Max, or, I'm way overdue for lifestyle shots, or my photographer is booked a month out right now, and I need this listing shoot done in 2 days. And there's people at my disposal that I can meet that can fill that void. So I think that there's a networking element for agents to connect with like-minded people. And there's also the partners that we have who have all been recommended by top agents. And so I think the quality of individual that attends our events is a lot higher than other events that go on around the city.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just had talked the other day, and you shared some excitement that you have coming up into 2024. Remind me, what was all that? What is causing the big excitement that you have coming up?
So it's still in the works. So, what you don't want to do is ever overpromise. We are in conversations right now with the brand new Intercontinental Hotel that's going up in Bellevue. It is beautiful. For the people that have seen anything online, it's just they're either just opening or they're just about to open. But it's going to be a very popular spot in Bellevue and the East Side, and we are looking to do an event there early February. We're going to be celebrating all the features from 2023. The cover features, the rising stars, the interior features, the nonprofits, our partners. It really is just going to be a big celebration of all the hard work that people put in 2023. And we want to highlight that and show the people love that have really earned it. So we're tentatively slotted for February 9th right now. I don't want to put anything in stone right now, but as we progress further, we'll be blasting that event out, and I'm really excited for that one to kind of come to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Last little thing, just show some support to the sponsor of this event, being able to do this in a gorgeous property with Merritt Homes.
Yeah.
Tell me your first thoughts when you got to walk in here and see what this new development looked like.
Yeah. So, it's always funny when you just put an address into your phone and you don't really know where you're going to end up. And when you pull up and it's like, these beautifully done homes. And I love this layout. I think the more houses I've been in, these open floor plans versus, some of that older stuff where it's like, if there were 10 people in a smaller kind of floor plan, and you'd be kind of bumping shoulders with people, or you could only have one person in the kitchen. And it's like, this is the kind of house that is built for a big family, built for entertaining. The bathroom upstairs is something that like you would never even imagine, right? That you would see. But I think the layout and the way it's formulated is just, it's really beautiful. It's really well done. And I think in new construction, something that is lacking a lot is any kind of outdoor space. It's normally like it's the smaller plot of land, and it's like you have a little square outside that you can like go out, and you have like 10 feet to walk, and then the fence line is right there. And it's like, if you look out here, there's like space for hanging out. There's multiple chairs. There's a covered area. And so it really stands out to me coming from some of the new construction I typically see versus what you see here and what you get, and at the price point. I think that, even though it being a tough market, I think that this is a kind of home that it's probably not going to be on the market for very long. Actually, this went on, I think they told me it went on end of last week, and it sold within a few days. So it's already pending. There you go. So, and it looks like they're going to be developing, some more houses in here. So I'm sure it's really exciting for them. And I look forward to seeing, other stuff they do around the city. Yeah. Merritt Homes does it right. It is stunning in here. That is for sure. Yeah. I love it. Well, Shay, dude, thanks for coming through and jumping on this podcast and just having some good discussions and talking through, the different events that you have coming up, the kind of the reasons why behind Seattle Real Producers, how it can dramatically affect people's businesses, and the connections and the people that get to meet through this community that's really been built up. Yeah. It's very exciting.
all the people that you've introduced me to and that I've gotten to work with. And it's like getting around people that want to do better, get better, and go farther.
Yeah.
And what a cool environment to be when you have that mindset. So appreciate you building what you're building, and excited to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, I value your partnership and your friendship, and it's fun to see, you and your business continue to grow as well. And I appreciate the opportunity to have me on.
Yeah. Cool, dude.
Awesome, buddy.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this was really helpful to you in your journey of building a business. If you like what you heard, please click subscribe, because that will help us tremendously when we're producing content of huge value to you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, and I hope that you have an amazing week.